I'm Lynn McGuire. I'm Chief Strategy Officer and Vice President for Strategic Planning and Marketing at Columbus Regional Hospital. So Columbus Regional has been around here in Columbus for more than 90 years. We were founded in 1917 as a community hospital, Bartholomew County Hospital. And currently we employ about 1,800 employees. We're a regional employer. And we have annual operating revenues pretty close to $300 million, actually. We serve a 10-county region, so Columbus and Bartholomew County, and then 10 counties that skew towards southeastern Indiana, most of them pretty contiguous. We have a medical staff of about 250, offer most major specialties. There's not too much that we don't offer. We didn't realize that what we needed to do was work on culture. We kind of backed into working on culture. Now we very deliberately work on culture, and we have for many years. But when we started, it was really with a business imperative, and it was about becoming a truly great regional hospital. So up to that point, and I'm talking about 1980s now, kind of mid-1980s, what people perceived needed to be done before the 80s was to have a good community hospital. And then mid-80s or so, with a new CEO coming on board and some others of us kind of new joining, we realized that from a business imperative point of view, we had all these hospitals in Indianapolis that were getting stronger and stronger, and we had smaller community hospitals around us, and we said, we need to make a choice here. Either we need to shrink to become a good community hospital, or we need to truly be a strong regional hospital. And to do that, we felt like we couldn't keep doing what we had been doing, which was just being good enough. So at that point, we set our aspirations to be a really great regional hospital, and so we said, how are we going to get there? How do you get there from here? So that was about excellence. It was about not being better than the hospital 30 miles down the road or 30 miles up the road. It was about being the best hospital in the country for the kinds of work that we do. So so that was the business imperative. It was strategically driven. And then the question is, how do you get there? So what we did initially was define what are those areas of excellence that we really felt we needed, in order to be able to say we are among the best in the country. So we started kind of defining what we now call pillars, although at the time we didn't, but we started talking about, well, it means delivering service excellence, that we're compassionate and we really reach out to people. It means delivering clinical excellence or quality, so that, when people come to us, we're going to offer them the best possible quality care, and we can demonstrate that in outcomes. It means we're going to be innovative in the way that we approach problems and issues. So we started defining these different pillars of excellence. And the first one we really started working hard on was service. It was about, because at that point in our history, and I think for most healthcare organizations, the feeling was you were delivering great care if you did all the right treatments to the patient. But whether you were nice to them or not in the process, whether you treated the family with warmth and kindness, those kinds of things were not considered to be hallmarks of excellent care. So we started working on that service excellence place. And that led us, so after working on that for a while, somewhat unsuccessfully, I should say, we realized that the only way you're going to get really wonderful customer excellence, customer service, is if you have wonderful employee excellence and a wonderful employee culture. And so that's what I mean when I say we kind of backed into the employee culture piece. So that was a huge aha for us. It was like, okay, the place to begin is at home. If we don't have employees that feel nurtured and supported and love working at our hospital and are aspirational about what they're trying to get done and are motivated and driving one another, then we will never be the kind of organization that we want to be. And so that's what I mean. That was that big insight for us. Probably, and I say we started this work in the mid-'80s, and it wasn't really until the 90s, I think, early 90s, that we kind of had this insight that we really needed to focus on culture. But when we started this transformative work, that really started with values, because it started with the new CEO we had at the time, John McGinty, who came in and wanted to immediately start and define what those cultural values needed to be. And so that's why I say, you know, a lot of times this work, I think people want to assume that the work is very linear. It's not linear. I think, you know, you identify goals and you head down paths, and not every one of them is going to work right. Or sometimes you're on parallel paths that kind of come together further down, but it's important to start somewhere. At any rate, we started with values, and that was a really important part of the culture, or establishing that culture, because no one had really articulated before you know, what were those qualities of being, those characteristics that we wanted to see in our employees? What were the behaviors that we wanted to see? And you know, throughout all of this work and all of this learning, we have tweaked those values a little bit, but they haven't substantively changed much at all. So they were really the fundamental underpinning. And then so we had a mission, we had values, and I'd say also